Well, if there can be no arrangement, then we are at an impasse.
I'm afraid so. I can't compete with you physically, and you're no match for my brains.
You're that smart.
Let me put it this way. Have you ever heard of Plato, Aristotle, Socrates?
Yes?
Morons.
Really?
Welcome to Morons Mince Movies. I am your host, Moron Sam Munoz, and I'm here with my fellow morons. Blester, please like and subscribe. Peñalosa the second.
You heard the man.
And Occam, Mr. Established Intellectual Property Arturo.
All right.
Because today, I'm sorry, I just couldn't think of anything better. That's what I was trying to think. Today we're talking about the established IP versus original IP.
What do you mean
or
when you
original
say
IP,
IP, by the way?
Intellectual property.
Oh, I knew that.
It's something that's pre-established. It's something that...
Got it. I was just asking for
not
the
IP
audience
address.
members. That's what I thought.
I just typed in IP.
Not internet protocol.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of IP. But so the reason I suggested this episode because there's been a lot of talk lately, especially with Oppenheimer about to win the Best Picture, more than likely about to win Best Picture.
Did. No.
And one of the things that a lot of people are praising Oppenheimer doing is that it's the kind of movie that doesn't have box office success, but only critical success and maybe some award success. And it's kind of harkening back to a time when
people are saying it wasn't financially successful.
No, that it was financially, but a movie like that in today's movie culture doesn't really make a lot of money.
Yeah.
In other words, but it was almost $1 billion movie, and it didn't have any established IP. It wasn't coming from like Barbie, for example, or it wasn't coming from Harry Potter or a famous adaptation of a book or something like that. Even though this is an adaptation of a book, but not anything that's like popular in the popular culture or anything like that. And they're praising it for being that kind of movie that sort of harkens back to a time when those kind of movies were the ones that were mostly dominating the box office. And now today's culture, right, we have more of like the superhero movies dominating the box office, the Star Wars movies dominating the box office, the Harry Potter movies established IP. And there's this sort of maybe vacuum. You could say dislike for some of those movies in the sense that studios are scared to make an original idea and put a lot of money behind it.
That's what it mostly comes down to.
Yeah.
I feel it's the fact that they don't have faith in these pictures. And for example, The Creator.
Yes, which is one of the movies that is being brought up in this conversation.
It was an incredibly well-made movie. We can all agree on that. Sam, I know you gave it a B. I gave it
B+. I gave it.
That's a B+. I gave it 2 thumbs up. And it was an original movie, and it had Gareth Edwards attached to it, director of Rogue One. But even myself, I didn't know it was coming out. I saw a bus ad for it. That was the first time I saw anything for it, and it came and went out of movie theaters.
Yes, and it's considered a flop because it didn't hit in the box office, and there's an interview with Gareth Edwards as to when he went and pitched this idea to the studio, and the studio, I believe the response was, well, we don't want to put over $100 million on anything that doesn't have already recognition. And Gareth was like, "No, don't worry. I don't need $100 million. Like, just I can do this for however millions he actually did it for."
350.
And no, I think it ended up costing like 80 million, which I mean still is a lot. But like that kind of thing that just doesn't happen that much anymore. And where these new original ideas trying to establish maybe a new franchise or something that doesn't have any recognition with anything else is becoming, in terms of box office, it's becoming very, very rare.
Yeah.
Right? I think the last one that some people have talked about is John Wick, which was an original idea and has become now a franchise.
But in the beginning, it did well enough.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a huge.
And it was a low budget. It was a low budget movie, and it did well enough to make money because it was low budget. Yeah. And then as the next installments came, they gave it a little bit more money. And
it also was the start of the Keanu-sans.
The Keanu-sans. The renaissance of Keanu Reeves. Yes. I feel like he never left.
Oh, no, I mean, I'll agree with that, but that we saw him now at the forefront all over again. Yeah. And films like Bill and
Everybody.
Ted's Excellent Adventure got a third film.
Oh, that's
You
true.
know, and
That's
things
true.
of that nature because he was
Matrix.
back.
Yeah.
The Matrix.
Yeah,
came back.
Matrix got another one, which is another. It was like the Matrix was a risk that the studio made at that time in 1999, right? It was an original idea, and then now it's a huge franchise. But it's almost rare to see like another Matrix like that, right?
Yeah.
Where maybe if a studio takes a risk, like it might just flop because they don't really advertise it as much, or they don't really back it, as you said.
It almost feels like when you have an original idea, it's you either die young enough to as the hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Because if you're successful as an original idea, then you're then gonna have the inevitable 15 sequels and the spin-offs on your original idea. So now when you started this whole project, you're like, I'm going to create something fucking original, something that Hollywood hasn't heard of. Fuck their copy and paste agenda. Fuck their spoon-fed where I'm going to do something new. And you do it, and it's a success, and
now
it
they
makes
wanna
a shit
copy
ton of
and
money.
paste all your shit.
And now,
they wanna copy
unfortunately,
and paste.
the studio owns that IP, so now they're able to say, either you write this for us, a part 2 and a part 5, or we're just going to hire someone else to do it, and it's not going to be as good. So what do you want to do?
Unless you're smart like George Lucas and ask
And
for
just
the rights.
fucking buy the rights.
Make sure you
yourself.
you
Sure,
get
the
the
rights. Yeah, if you're listening out there, make sure you own the rights.
Listen, so my overall thoughts on this is if I understand the argument or the question correctly, is it that you're seeing less original concept for movies, original ideas, like, for example, something like Saltburn or something like Holdovers, that it's not a spin-off, it's not a prequel, it's not a sequel, it's not a fucking...
So this is where the I think the discussion gets really interesting, because I personally believe I do believe there's a lot of original movies out there, and the sort of perception that Hollywood doesn't make original movies anymore is kind of flawed, because they are coming out, but they're usually like they're considered like prestige movies, meant for the Oscars, the awards, and that's the reason why I think the Oscars are so important, because if it didn't exist, these movies would have no path whatsoever, because the studios sometimes will give a chance to an auteur to, you're gonna make your movie? Good. Like, this movie might be a movie that we can kind of like market as an awards movie, and then we'll make money that way. But if like Garrett Edwards, who doesn't really want to make, is not making an awards movie, but making more of like a sci-fi for the masses, like kind of popular type of thing, the studios might not give it a shot because they see no path. In that case, they always want to say like, well, no, it needs to be either based on a doll, or based on a famous book already, or based on a comic book, or something that people already know, if we're going to give you $300 million to make a big blockbuster type of movie. Like, we're not going to put that kind of money on an original idea. If you want an original idea, you better make it for like $20 million, and it better be awards friendly in some say, so we can that's the path for those kind of movies now.
But see, unfortunately, that it kind of sets them up for not failure, but for challenges, because you're basically saying, we want you to create a movie that's worthy of awards and Oscars and fame, but we also don't want to give you the amount of money that a franchise would receive, because your movie, your original idea, isn't one worthy of that much money. So it puts the director and the actors in this very difficult position where it's like, well, fuck, they want me to create this amazing thing, but they're not giving me all the money because they don't want to take the risk. And unfortunately,
the only time you get that money is if you're someone famous like Christopher Nolan.
Yeah,
because he's the IP at this point.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And see, that's what it's come down to. So I kind of feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong or if I don't get this correctly, but it all comes down basically to capitalism. So, all right, no. On a serious note, though, I don't want to get diverged. I'm saying that it comes down to that, which is money. Is you have stockholders. If I'm an investor,
it's all corporate greed.
If
man.
I'm an investor that's saying I'm going to put my money into Fox and this movie that's being made, I'm willing to give $50 million if I'm promised a return of double that amount or what have you. But I want to know what the movie is being made, and then you multiply that by 50 other investors. eventually that script that you come up with is gonna be fucking fucked with. It's gonna be modified. It's gonna be changed. It's gonna be made to cater to the people that are investing, that they think they know what they want, but it's not gonna fucking succeed, and it's gonna fail, or it's gonna fucking succeed, and it's gonna just continue that whole process, which is the investors are the ones that have the final say on what movie gets made and what movie gets fucking.
But let's because I'm glad that you brought this up, Noel, because if you look at
on screen.
Oh, I'm like, he's Zuble.
On screen.
no,
I'm
on the
following.
screen. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
I'm following.
So when you look at the history of the Oscars, only like really in the past like 2 decades, has like the Oscars become more of like it, the movies that win like Best Picture, get nominated in Best Picture, tend to be more independent and things like that.
Yeah.
But in the past, they were big studio movies.
Yeah.
Like The Godfather won Best Picture and was also the most, the number one movie in terms of money of that year, right?
Everybody.
And that was that was a bit more common up until maybe like the past 2 decades. I think the last one that really did that was Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, which won Best Picture and was also like the number one movie of the year. But it's rare that happens, that those two kind of come together. And it was not as rare beforehand. And I think it is the case that studios are taking less and less risks on big budget movies that are made for serious films. And I don't want to knock on the superheroes not being serious films, because some of them are, but I think they used to be more risky with that. Yeah. Like an Oppenheimer movie wasn't as rare, in the 90s and 80s and so on as it is nowadays. Like, and that's kind of like the big discussion here.
And honestly, hold on. Like I'm gonna if I'm gonna also agree. And I want to bring up something about the superhero thing too, because like frankly, it's as a fan of comic books, as a fan of superhero movies, it's seeing how much of it and how much studios are just trying to cash in on that, and the decision that's leading to is fucking annoying, because they're just seeing the dollar signs. Yeah. And we're getting to a point right now, and I mean that's a bigger conversation, but let's just make them all exist so we can make even more money, and it's becoming this thing of it's becoming quantity over quality, and we are losing a lot of that in comic book films. And honestly, I can't go to any video on YouTube or comment section of anything Marvel related and not having someone shit talk on like, oh, how Marvel used to be. Like and it's just this whole thing now, and it's becoming a conveyor belt of shit. Of this general thing that's just the masses want more of this, and then because they just want the money, so there's less of this really inventive thing where they're trusting filmmakers, and it's just becoming this machine. And as a whole, it's even to me, who generally enjoys everything, I can tell, right? I can also tell when you're just giving me something because the studio wants to hold on to something. And it's disheartening. And we, another thing that we've all loved but have very intense emotions about, Star Wars. Look what happened at the sequel trilogy. When there is no big plan made, just because it's like
they're doing this with all the franchises, right? I know you're a big Jurassic Park fan, they're bringing back Jurassic World again. And I know you're excited or anything like that, but
do I also think they should wait? Yes. I do believe they should.
Listen,
but it's the thing. It's like
it goes back to that. Like you need to give your chance an audience to breathe. You just can't keep hammering with them, because everyone's gonna get tired at some point. And then when you have all these streamers and people knowing, okay, I can just wait. I don't have to go see it in theaters, because there's so much happening now. We're seeing so much on TV and on all the streaming sites. There's so much to watch that you're starting you're not going to get to everything, and you're choosing to watch some things at home, and then studios are losing, or they see themselves losing money because of this, because we know we can just watch it at home, and now it's affecting the overall, well, then people aren't watching superhero movies anymore. No, it's because you gave us too many, and we're still but yeah.
Were you going to say something before
I was just going to say that it's a very clear sign of what's to come, and I don't think it's going to change, man. Look, if you're looking at movies now where we're on We're on Transformers fucking 8. We're on Fast and the
Furious
Furious
11.
fucking
Yeah.
Indiana Jones 7, Star Wars 9. Like, studios are now willing to just
go into the
continue
double
doing
digits.
This shit.
Yep.
Everything
There's
can
no
be James
sign-
Bond.
Like, I remember growing up where it was max a trilogy. Like, that's
Yeah.
it. That was it. Why the fuck would you want to continue more than 2 movies, a storyline? That there needs to be a start and there needs to be an end, and that's it. That's how movies should be. And now that's changed.
Well, some of them need middles too.
Sure, middles. But now it's gotten to the point where no, we fucking just keep going. Just fucking change a few things. Change the cars, change the
Or
bad
reboot
guy,
it.
change the
Yeah,
location.
reboot it.
Yeah, reboot it.
Or it just takes place in a different
it
corner
younger.
of the universe.
Make it younger, fucking any of that, and it's just it. But
Even with
see,
the fucking Disney movies, remake them
Yes.
into animated movies, into live action movies.
it's laziness, but it's calculated laziness. Like Disney knows damn well that this is the lowest risk with the highest income
But that's
potential.
the thing.
It's-
Disney had like one of the worst years last
Yeah.
year in terms of box office.
yeah,
And
good job
it was like
convincing them of that.
it was like a big story, and
Yeah.
and the thing is like what you brought up a little bit is that the theater, people going to the theaters is people are saying like it's dying, and like
not
the,
Nicole Kidman, man. not her. You'll never
But
hear that.
it
She's
might,
always in theaters.
Yeah.
and people are constantly like the popular phrase is like Hollywood doesn't make any original movies anymore.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the popular movies that they're making are always the movies that we're talking about, franchise movies and so on. And if people aren't going to see those, studios are now like, well, what do we do? Like we don't know what to do. And with the whole Oppenheimer and Barbie phenomenon that happened, I feel it's going to be trying to sort of copy that now and sort of copy like, what can we do to sort of couple, maybe a serious movie, like a tour movie, and do like something that's franchise and have like try to redo this
Combine
again.
them. Yeah.
And make it into a formula, which will ruin it again.
Yeah. It's
because
not going to hit the same.
Because Barbenheimer was such like an organic thing
Yeah.
that just happened.
Yeah.
And it's just
No,
if studios
not-
don't wise
yeah.
up to the how they used to do business, where they had some movies like, okay, we're gonna put some money aside for these middle budget movies that we're gonna try to like maybe takes a couple of risks. And then maybe we'll do one big movie and that's it. And then, but most of our movies are going to be, mid to lower budgets
So,
because
dude. Yes, 100%. I completely agree with that, and that's what I want there to happen because. So there's an example of a studio who's doing this and doing it so well that is Toho with their Godzilla properties.
Oh,
so
really?
as of like over a decade or two, several decades ago, Toho decided, you know what, Godzilla had a good run. We're kind of gonna. There's too much. We're not gonna really do anything, but Legendary Pictures, that Warner Brothers, America wants to do something with it. Let's just allow them some rights so they can make some movies. Fine, let them do their thing because we're not. It's like the slowest bite ever.
You're trying to sneak a bite in there.
The only conspicuous.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Like let them do their thing, whatever. And then those films went on to be, make money.
Yeah.
And they kept making more, and Toho was like, all right, let them keep doing their thing. And it got to a point where they're making so much money, let's kind of go back to Godzilla. And they released Shin Godzilla, which in Japan was a huge hit. And then that same money that, the machine is making in America with the Monsterverse, it also funneled the funds for Godzilla -1. And now we have like this critically praised film that was made because of the benefits of having this other franchise as well, and it's all one big thing, and it's going back to the idea, I feel, of like taking risks where you can without doing too much. Like it's a good balance.
Yeah, because now every blockbuster movie has to be $300 million to make or something like that. So and if you don't get close to like $1 billion box office, that movie is losing money because of all the marketing and everything that is on top of it and all that stuff. So a lot of this is what happened to Disney. They released, I don't know how many, like 5 huge budget movies, 5 or 6, I forget what it was. And I think with the exception of Guardians of the Galaxy, all the others flopped. in terms of
Wish.
relatively to their budget, right?
yeah.
They still made like hundreds of millions of dollars, but when you make a movie for $300 million and it makes $200 million, you're still $100 million in the red, plus all the marketing and shit
Plus
that happens.
marketing, which marketing is usually double the budget.
No, it depends. I don't know. I don't know if it's
depends on the
double.
film.
It's a
Yeah.
safe calculation.
But anyway, what I wanted to bring up, and you brought up, is there's these studios that people are praising now, like A24 and Neon, who are doing this sort of like old school, I guess, way of doing where they.
Oh, you mean they trust their filmmakers? Holy shit!
Yeah, well, they make lower budgets. There's also Blumhouse, which is like in the horror genre thing.
Nickelodeon.
There's all these sort of like kind of
Just
middle to
Nickelodeon?
small studios. I don't know if they're small. I don't know. I don't consider A24 small anymore.
Not anymore.
But
But you're right, and then that's the thing too, because now it's also built a reputation where people are going out to see these films.
Just because it's A24.
Exactly.
Like there's an A24
I think
like
everything
niche.
everywhere really changed the
Yeah.
game for that.
No,
Oh,
it's been.
I know it's been
even
a while.
before
I know
that,
way
though.
before-
Even
I know
before
way
that.
before, but I feel like
And like with A24 too, like I think for a little
Oh,
while
Moonlight was
they'd have this
A24.
idea of like, I know that some people found like their films a little bit like pretentious, but like I think they've
They're
also
catering to a certain audience.
they
too.
are, but they've also broadened their horizons just enough.
Yeah, now they're going into the horror genre too with what was that movie?
They have several horror movies.
Yeah.
I mean, Hereditary, Midsommar,
Oh, yeah,
there's
Hereditary,
The
that's right.
Witch, Lighthouse.
Yeah, but the newest
Us.
one, God, I'm drawing a blank. The you
newest
had it
one.
in your honorable mentions. Not Talk to Me.
Talk to Me was A24.
Oh, it is Talk to Me.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Talk to Me.
It's actually one of the more successful ones.
Yeah,
too.
it
Look
was
at
one
that.
and now they're thinking of trying to build a franchise
Yeah,
from
they
that because it was so successful. But it was an original idea.
Yes.
yeah.
It was an original
No.
idea. And so and
I guess everything has to start off as an original idea at one point.
yeah. The problem
that's
is like when you
inevitable.
take it to your part 9s and 10s and 11s
Exactly.
and so on.
Let it die when it needs to die.
Take a break.
and then move on. Now, let me ask you guys this. Slightly change the subject. Is do you think that in our lifespan, or at least in our kids' lifespan, you're gonna see just the death of originality? Like how
I
how
don't
many
think so.
years? How many years? Consider how many movies come
So,
out per year.
I've
How many of those are originals? And then multiply that by 10 years,
you know
by
what
20
here's-
years.
Yeah.
Here's
How many original ideas
Well,
can you possibly
I think
come up
the
with?
next wave that they're actually going to go into, because right now we are seeing a lot of even just the built-in IPs not doing well.
Yeah.
I think if they're doing if they do it the right way, they're going to look towards Barbie and doing something that's very loose, like it's basically an original idea that's loosely based on said IP.
Yeah.
Where there is
That's-
a built-in-ish audience.
You're gonna see
but
a
the
tidal wave of
idea,
that.
I mean, and I would love that.
Your
Like,
your G.I. Joe
as
movie.
long-
your
they tried that already. It failed.
okay.
That's, hold on, but
your,
hold on,
your
like,
Battleship
as long as
movie.
people put their wallet where their mouth is and actually go and support these films, that's ultimately what always talks.
Yeah, and I what I want to say is that original movies have been coming out, and that's kind of like, again, I kind of said this already, but there's a misconception about movies in general. And there's a lot of original movies.
Yeah.
It's just that
Yeah.
they're not the blockbuster ones. Like
Yeah.
you have to go searching for these movies. You have to be the person who cares about like looking for movies that are original, and if you're not, these are gonna fly under the radar for you because they're not gonna be in the commercials and stuff you see and everything like that. So, but there's original movies all the time.
Right, but Sam,
The thing is that the blockbuster ones are the
It's
ones
not-
that are
Well,
established.
and we're
IP.
it's
also
not just blockbuster.
Yeah.
Sorry, Arturo. It's not just blockbuster. Like, yes, I can create an original movie about a plumber who has to fix a clogged drain.
With
And
a
he
magic
forgets-
dinosaur?
He forgets his tool bag in his car, and then he realizes his car's locked, so he has to call AAA. And he befriends the AAA driver, and they talk about death. And then they unlock his car, and he's able to finish the plumbing. That's an original idea. Yeah. But is it fucking interesting? No. Do people want to see it? No.
Well, there are plenty of original
But there are
movies
plenty
that
of
are
original
good.
movies that are interesting,
Yeah.
though.
Right. No, I'm not saying there isn't. What I'm saying is how many original ideas out there exist
There's
that
a
you
ton.
can make interesting.
Yeah,
a ton.
dude. I watched 75 movies last year, man. Last year. Oh, by the way, Sam, fuck you.
Why?
Holy
'cause
shit.
You responded
All right, I'm
to-
down
when
for that.
we were talking
Fuck you,
about
Sam.
the movies of the year, and everyone's like, oh, like I'm seeing like you like I seen like 40-ish, like 30. I'm like 75. I was like, wow, you have no life. That was what you responded with, Sam. So number one, fuck you. Number two, you did
that was a
say
joke.
you did say that you
delayed.
wish you had that amount of time, and yeah, it's because I work part time. That's part of it. And third off, actually, that actually really helped me create a New Year's resolution.
To watch even more movies?
No, because
That would be my New Year's
I was
resolution.
constantly trying to watch like every movie like that I could because I wanted to rank things properly, but I was putting the pressure on myself to rank things for like I don't have to do that to myself. And then it finally reached the point where like, you know what? No, I'm gonna go after the movies that I know I'm gonna genuinely enjoy. And then when the end of the year comes down, there's all these, you know, the buzzworthy films for the Oscar season, the award season.
That's when you come to me.
I'm gonna, yeah, I really am. Honestly, I'm gonna take your suggestions and to just live more freely without having to. Oh my God, I need to watch everything, and just relax. So at the end of the day, thank you, Sam.
Aw.
But also, fuck you.
You don't understand.
What a roller coaster right now.
You don't understand.
Christ.
I admired the fact that you watched 70. If it were up to me, if I didn't have a wife and kids, I would be watching like 200 movies a year, man. I'm fucking serious. I would be that fat fuck at the theater probably 3 times, using all 3 of their options on their AMC A list every week. Watching every fucking movie I can.
I respect it.
Because I have nothing else to worry about.
Not me, man. I'm sorry, but
I would.
Look,
I
side story here. I recently downloaded this app called
Letterboxd, yeah,
Letterboxd.
Oh, you don't know about Letterboxd?
I didn't. And I finally downloaded it, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go
welcome.
backwards year by year and pick which movies I've watched, tag them, rate them, and like them, and then move on. And as I was going through like the 2000s, I was like, 2018, let's see what movies came out in 2018 that I remember enjoying. And I was like, okay, yeah, I remember this one, and I remember this one. But a lot of these movies were just movies that I was like, I have no fucking interest in watching you ever. if I had a chance of watching grass grow and watching this movie, I would watch grass grow twice. Just because these movies just don't seem
Jesus.
They don't
intense.
they didn't I don't know if it's because they weren't marketed correctly or I don't care enough about the subject, but
And you got to a point you realized you saw too many?
I'm at a point in my life where if I'm gonna dedicate 2-3 hours of my time to sit down and watch something, it's because it's gonna be something that I'm interested in and that appeals to me and that I enjoy and that was actually like there was effort put into it. Like would I go to the movie theater to watch, I don't know, like a movie that
Madam Web.
I wasn't gonna say anything about any specific movies, but Madam Web.
Because recently I remember someone inviting you and you're like,
No, that one I couldn't make it. No. I really
He had
couldn't
a
make
full
it 'cause
intention to go see it.
Okay.
I did. It was already reserved. But no, like those types of movies, I don't go out of. So there are movies like where no, I'm
He's
serious.
trying so hard not to just say like
No, because this is what it is, which is there are certain movies where I will go out of my way. I will be planning ahead of time. I will reserve my seat. I will make sure that it's exactly where I want to sit on exactly the day that I want to see it at the exact time. Those are your Oppenheimers. Those are your your movies that I really want to watch. Then there are movies where I'm like, I don't give a shit, man. I guess I have 3 hours to kill. Fuck, I guess. All right, let's watch Madam Web. The only seat available is in the back. I don't give a shit.
That's why
Let's watch. There's that. So those are two different things.
to bring this back to the topic.
What
Because
topic?
we're a little off tangent.
What topic are we doing?
And we'll end it here soon.
Okay.
And that's why I think studios need to fucking wise up
There
and
you
go
go.
back to a time when instead of saying like, here's a new big budget superhero movie. Again, no offense to superhero movies. There's a lot of good ones out there and
None
everything like
taken.
that.
Thank you.
But instead of that, put their money and their backing to convince people that this new movie, which it's not based on any comic book, it's not based on any book that
it'll
you've
be
heard
the
of.
next big thing.
This is like the next big fucking thing.
Yeah.
You know, like James Cameron, for some reason, made everyone believe that these blue people from a world Pandora was important for you to go
Smurfs.
out there and spend money and watch.
Yeah.
But
That's
but
what we
it's
all
because
did.
it's James Cameron is one thing.
Yeah.
But
Again.
But studios
He's a
can
draw.
do this too with
Yeah.
any other movie, and they used to do that all the time with these movies.
Yep.
And just say like, "Hey, this movie is important, and you should fucking watch it," and make people think that they need to watch it. They did that somehow with Oppenheimer, and again, it's probably because of Christopher Nolan. But they can do that with these other movies,
Absolutely.
and not spend $300 million to make it.
No, I agree. And the bigger conversation too with it is like how streaming has affected everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Because there is a lot where like you will see original films, like, you know what, I don't let's not put this in theaters, but give it to let's sell it to Netflix or what have you, or sell it to Hulu. Like, there's a lot of things I feel on Hulu that fly under the radar for that same reason, because again, they're not putting their faith in the films.
Yeah.
And to take this back to the most classic of original ideas that became so huge that everybody knows what it is, Star Wars.
Yep.
You know, when George Lucas wrote Star Wars, and as he was making it, everybody thought he was an idiot, and this was the dumbest story of all time. But the studios, they put it out there, and they backed it, and they marketed it, and the people came out and saw it, and it became the biggest fucking phenomenon, still going to this day.
Yep.
And you can do that again and again.
One
and
of
again.
our hosts even has tattoos.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna roll up my sleeves. I'm sorry, I'm too tired for doing that, but I got Darth Vader laying on a blanket like this on my chest.
right.
No, Sam, I agree with what you're saying, man. Unfortunately, I don't see the situation getting any better. Final thoughts for me is I feel like, yes, originality is fucking always preferable and better in regards to movies, but I don't see it getting any better, man. I see it getting to the point where...
I disagree. I think the Oppenheimer Barbie thing was a really good thing. Even though Barbie was based on something that people know, it was such an original movie. Yeah. And I think that's the reason it made so much money, because people went to it and be like, this is totally something I didn't expect. But and it became important to watch.
But you're undermining the greatness of Barbie, which is, that's not something that can be easy to replicate. So what you're going to see is a lot of copycats of that movie, which still results in non-original movies. Now what you're going to see is a bunch of wannabe Barbies and a bunch of wannabe Oppenheimers.
Cabbage Patch Kids coming to you 2025.
You're going to see your
Cabbage Patch Kids gets pregnant.
Yeah. Or,
Barbie versus Bratz.
Right. And you're going to see that, and they're going to try to shoot for what they did. And like you said, Sam, they're going to try to market, they're going to try to tap into that same marketing strategy, which is, oh shit, there's a Battleship versus, the Manhattan Project movie coming up this year. Everyone's talking about it. Everybody, let's get involved. But it's not going to be the same, and it's not going to be original.
We'll see.
While yes, we're seeing this, I still don't feel like...
I have some hope. We'll see.
You're more optimistic than I am. I feel like right now investors are in charge of what gets done. And investors want what's going to result in more money, and that's things people know.
Yeah, just look at our lists for the most anticipated films of 2024. The majority of them were sequels, were remakes, were something based on an existing property.
I had some original ones.
I didn't say you didn't. I said the majority overall. Like, we were all looking forward to Joker.
Yeah.
Deadpool 3 was on some lists. Mad Max
18 was on mine.
Oh yeah, the Mad Max ones.
Furiosa,
yeah. You're right. Yeah, you're right.
That's
God damn it! It's all our fault.
Yep.
It comes down to money.
Yeah.
I predict Oscar season 2029 is gonna be basically Star Wars 17, Dune 5, Deadpool 7, Wall-E 3.
I dig
Wall-E 3.
Wall-E 3.
Would you see a sequel
Save
for
this
Wall-E?
episode.
I don't think they should ever make a sequel for Wall-E.
But would you see it?
Oh God, it would kind of make me sad to
You
see
would
it.
see it. You would see it.
Turns out they're able to turn the planet back into life, but now he's starting to have differences with Evie.
And they made a baby.
Right? And they made a baby.
Somehow.
Yeah. And he's like a single dad.
Because Eva died or
she's too
something.
worried about having to... No, not because she died. Fuck. Jesus, because she's
sad.
too work. She's too busy with work and preoccupied with work that Wally's like, yo, this is your
This is your
child.
kid. Come on.
This is your child. You have to raise him with me. And then
And the humans have become, they stopped caring again. They're starting to
they went
trash
the
the earth.
opposite. Instead
Yeah.
of being too overweight, now they're like super fit to the point where they ignore their kids because they're so
Dude,
busy
this sounds
about
like
working out.
actually a pretty decent movie.
Let's write it.
You heard it here
All right.
first.
Let's start
All
writing
right,
it.
Wally
Disney,
Part
come
2.
to us.
All
We'll
right.
sell you our idea.
And with that, again, please like and subscribe.
oh, and
And what's
sweater I've been wearing for the last 3 episodes is from The Art of Choi, in case anyone's been paying attention.
good God? What a booty!
Yes.
What the
it's his
heck?
merch line.
see what?
Shout out to you, Chewy. Love you, brother.
Oh,
All right,
And
Chewy,
please like and subscribe.
oh yeah, Chewy.
and
know what that
please,
says.
please tell us your original idea for a new movie in the comments and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, let us know what you want Hollywood
And
to
as always,
have a dark night.
Have a dark night.